As Evelyn mentioned, I work with Thunkable on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to go through just the agenda for the next 20 or 30 minutes or so, and I want to leave a little bit of time for questions as well. So it's great to hear that you've been thinking and you've been coming up with your ideas and stuff. And as I start to show you some of the apps today, would love to hear any questions that you have about our users and their journey and how it is that they were able to build and to accomplish their apps and stuff. So just to give you a quick overview, I'm going to talk about myself for about 1 minute, and then spend a little bit of time talking about Thunkable, and then I'm going to go through some case studies as well. So yeah, people we're kind of a global company. We hit some really interesting milestones this year. We've got people all over the world using our platform, and our company now is also spread out across the world as well. So a tiny bit about me. I started off kind of in a teaching role in DCU back in 2009, so that's more than 10 years ago now, and I got to work on really interesting like software and engineering projects back then. And then I set up my own company in 2014. So I went out on my own. It was called the Robot Foundry, and we did a very broad kind of range of subjects. So we did like electronics, and we did robotics, and we did websites and programming and app development as well. And the app development was one that people were really, really interested in. I hope that you're all really excited about building apps. And the big question that I always got from people that came and did my courses or people that I was working with was like, okay, how do I get this? This is brilliant. I love that it's on my Android device or my Android tablet. How do I get it onto my iPhone? And then in 2016, a company called Thunkable was set up. And so that's actually how I found out about this company, was because I was teaching my customers and my students all about app development, and Thunkable was a really, really cool and new technology. And then I ended up joining the company back in 2017, and as Evelyn mentioned, then in 2019 I became the head of creator success. So that means on a day-to-day basis, I'm working with users all over the world, Australia and China and India, all over Europe and Africa and South America and North America as well, literally the entire world. So we're a smallish company. We're kind of between 16 and 20 people, depending on the time of the year. And our headquarters is in San Francisco in America, but we also have folks based in Taiwan, and there are 4 or 5 of us here in Dublin as well. So we've got a nice spread there. And we work very, very hard to try and make app development as easy as possible. So it means that anybody of any age should be able to build an app for their Android device or their iOS device. And yeah, this is a picture I grabbed from our Instagram. So if you want to see what life is like in Thunkable, you can follow us on Instagram. We do work very hard, but we also get to do a little bit of play as well. So this is some of us at an escape room, which is a great little thing that we did, I think, last year when we were able to travel and we were all able to meet up. And we were, going to the movies and going to restaurants and stuff like that. So it's a really, really fun place to work. And typically around this time each year, we might be on our company holiday, but obviously at the moment, since we're all virtual, all remote, we have to do things a little bit differently. We have to be a little bit more creative. So we get to do kind of fun team activity stuff. So I know that I just thrown this in because I know Rowena is talking later, and she's kind of the specialist on remote work, but we would do things like puzzles, we do origami and painting, and again, even just some food. We might grab a takeaway and just jump on a little Zoom call and chat to our friends and our colleagues and see how they're doing. So that's kind of what work looks like in Thunkable at the moment in 2020 and 2021. But yeah, so the platform itself, actually maybe just by a show of hands, if people raise their hands or give a little wave, have you used Thunkable yet? Have you tried any of the sample apps? A few people have had a look. Great, lots of people. Yeah, and thumbs up as well. Yeah, thumbs up if the camera is off as well. That's fine. Great. So last year was a really exciting year. Like I say, I work with our customers and our users on a day-to-day basis, and we just crossed 1 million users in our community. So it's grown from nothing 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and now including yourselves, you're part of the million strong user base that we have out there building incredible apps. And so we have 2 kind of editors. The legacy editor is kind of the thing we've been working on since 2017 or 2018, and it's it's very, very powerful. But one of the kind of bits of feedback we got from our users was that, and we always listen to what people are telling us and what they're asking for, was that it was very tricky to make the design for their app. So we've created this new thing. It's called the drag and drop editor. And now when you're creating your Thunkable projects, you'll be able to see you have the option to use the legacy editor, or you can check a little box at the moment and use the drag and drop editor. And what we've done with the new editor is made it much easier to get the design of your app the way you like, the way you like it, the way you want it to look. You're able to move things and resize things in a way that you haven't been able to do in the past. And so that's just the way the app looks and the way that the project looks. Then in terms of like how it works and how it functions, both kind of platforms are very, very similar. You can click one button and you can turn your project into an app for your iPhone or your iPad, and click one other button and that same project will be turned into an app for Android and iOS. So it means that, yeah, rather than having to use 2 different pieces of software, or even 3, because we can do web apps as well, you can do everything directly in Thunkable. So yeah, I know you have options out there, but that's one of the things that we make really easy for you. The other thing then as well is that I know with the Technovation Challenge, you're going to be working in teams. So there's 2 features that I wanted to call out because they're important for teamwork, I guess. So you can remix sample projects. Now they're on our website, they're in our community. You might even have some sample projects from previous Technovation participants. But you can like click a button and you can look inside at their blocks, you can look at their design, and you can use that then as inspiration for your own project. And it helps get you up to speed much faster, I suppose. And from the perspective of working as a team, you can also reuse a saved screen. So what I could do is, a pretty common example I would use is I could make a sign-in screen and I could share my sign-in screen with Evelyn, and then she could have that as a saved screen in her Thunkable account. And every time she made a new app, if she wanted to add a sign-in screen, rather than having to do it one component at a time, one block at a time, which you can definitely do, you could just click on new screen, use my saved screen, and import that saved screen as well. So you can see very quickly by looking at some of these sample projects, finding ones that you like, saving some of the screens that you think are really useful, and then reusing them. You'll be able to like come up with new ideas and test things out really fast. And that's kind of that's the best part about the Technovation challenges: sharing it with your teammates, sharing it with your mentor, sharing it with your family, and getting that feedback to be like, oh, this works really well, or I'm not sure how this works. And that's how you're able to make your projects better. One thing then that might be a little beyond the scope of today's conversation is our new feature that allows you to import a design from Figma. So that's kind of like Photoshop or Sketch. It's a piece of graphic design software. So you mightn't be familiar with that. And then in terms of like storing information, there's ways to do that inside the app. But we also have access to Google Sheets and Airtable. So they're 2 very popular ways of storing information. If you're creating a log of, I'll show you some examples now in a minute of users who have used these types of things. And there's again, that's another nice thing about Thunkable, is that we make it very easy to connect to these other apps. So some people actually put their hand up there and said they had used Thunkable before. Does anybody want to jump in at this point if they have any questions about Thunkable, and I can try and answer them either now or in the slides that are coming down. So I'll give you a couple of seconds there if anybody wants to jump in, or if there was anything. I didn't check the chat, but if there's any questions in the chat as well, I can check there. I don't hear anything yet anyway. Nope. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Now, so let's look at a couple of our case studies. The first one I want to share with you is, and I thought it was really relevant for today, is by one of our users called Sophia. She's based in Mexico. She's also a Technovation mentor over there, so I felt that was relevant. But last year, one of the things she did was built a template app like that, because I say you can remix other people's projects. That's one of the things we encourage in Thunkable, is that like you open source your work, and let other people kind of in the community benefit from your knowledge and from your expertise. So one of the things she did then was came up with this app. It's called Your Voice App, and it's designed for non-profit communities. So people who are volunteering, people who are working, you know, to help distribute aid, help organize volunteers, that kind of thing. And it's like a distributed community. So one of the ideas behind it is that you don't have to have one person. So I don't have to sit there and moderate. I don't have to spend time working on this app. Everybody does a little bit. And that means that the whole kind of community benefits. So somebody might be volunteering their time. They'd be like, okay, I have an hour a week, or I have you know, 2 or 3 hours on the weekend where I can volunteer. And then there might be an organization that said, oh, okay, we need somebody to come along for 2 hours a week to help us out in our office. We might need help with a particular task once a month or something like that. And they're able to kind of, the community is able to kind of match ideas like that. So you might have something like that in your own community. And again, another kind of problem that Sophia sought to address here was like, how do people sign up? And how do they log in? So you can see then that when you're logging in here, you're logging in with your mobile phone. So like if it's on your phone, it makes sense that you would have a mobile number. And some of the communities that they were working with, people wouldn't necessarily have email addresses or things like that. But if you have your phone and your phone number, that was she wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to join this app and to join the community. She didn't want people to be excluded from the community just because they didn't have an email address or an email account. Yeah, and then this was another one. So it was a really popular open source app that we shared last year. I actually should have got I can get the statistics later for you, but it was one of the most remixed projects that we had on Thunkable last year. So like I say, you can look at the design that she's used. You can look at the blocks then that she's used to put in the logic or the functionality of the app, and then yeah, you can download it and you can remix it and do all those good things with it as well. Okay, so the second app I want to share with you is, so her own description, was it's a communication tool where people can post for help or look for help available. It is meant to serve as a closed community app where it can connect people in remote areas to NGOs, non-governmental organizations that can help them. You log in with your phone, you're able to post help, or you're able to contact any help available. The content is curated by the community for the community. So yeah, hopefully kind of give you some ideas of the type of thing that people are building with Thunkable. So that was very much about building a community and working with people. The second app then that I wanted to talk to you about is called PV Solar, and this is one of our earliest kind of breakout apps, one of our earliest success stories. So this is back in 2016 or 2017. This guy here is called Anwar. He lives in a country called Yemen, and back in 2013, 2014, there was actually a really big war in his country, and there was issues then with power grid and power supply. So a lot of people, when they were rebuilding, because it's a very hot, very sunny country, they started using solar power and solar panels. But the issue with solar panels is that most of them just stay in one position all the time. They're always pointing one way. But if you've ever looked out your window, obviously the sun moves from one side to the other throughout the day. So if you're making a solar panel, what you wanted to do is to tilt and twist and follow the sun. And that means you get the most sun on it as the day goes by. And that's kind of what he did, was he built an app to help people out with calculations and positioning and all the energy that was coming out of the solar panels. And yeah, had absolutely no idea how to build an app, had never built any, never written any software before, but grew this app and shared it in his country, and then eventually ended up winning an award from like the Minister for Energy in Yemen, because it was helping so many people to generate the most electricity for their houses and for their communities as well. And it uses then Bluetooth technology to kind of connect to the solar panels themselves, and you can see how much energy is it generating, and all the kind of the facts and the figures that'll be there as well. So yeah, definitely back in 2017, the solar power probably wasn't too popular in Ireland, but I know now, kind of 4 years, 5 years later, you can see lots and lots of houses have them, factories have them, farms have them. So there's lots of solar installations around the country. Maybe you can think of some examples in your own head of people who are working with, or maybe you see as you're driving around your community, people might have small little wind turbines and stuff as well. Particularly kind of out the country, or if you're near the coast as well, you might see some of that as well. So yeah, this was a really interesting app, I think, and just shows how you can kind of help people get the information that they need with an app. Yeah, so we were in Mexico for our first app and Yemen for our second app. And the third one I wanted to show you is from one of our users in Donegal. His name is Owen, and he's actually doing his leaving cert at the moment. So he's a similar age to yourselves. And yeah, this time last year when the pandemic hit, all the businesses were closed. And there's two reasons, I suppose, I want to show this app. So one is obviously because they're an Irish user of Thunkable, and I'm very proud of what he's kind of built here. And the whole idea then is that when shops started reopening, as you know, you can only have a limited number of people in, and you want to keep track and you want to do contact tracing. And all of that was possible within the app. So the idea is that somebody would be at the door and they would be able to use it like a little manual clicker, essentially, and you could keep a log of who's gone in and who's come out. But it also, in addition to just being like, rather than using one of those manual little clickers that you can get, this tells you when people are coming into the shop. So you know when things are busy, and you know when things are quiet. And yeah, a really great idea. It's available on the App Store, and it's available on the Play Store as well. So you can go and you can take a look at that, and you can set it up. It's very easy to get started with. But the other thing I wanted to flag was he's got some really nice graphs here, really nice charts. And yeah, 2.5 years ago, this wasn't really possible in Thunkable. And then a lovely lady called Evelyn reached out to me and said, I want to put some graphs in my app for my Technovation students. So that's your mentor, Evelyn, there. Myself and my colleague, Jimmy, we came up with a tutorial on how to very simply visualize some data. So that was Evelyn there got in touch with us, and we kind of got the ball rolling with it, and then we put it out to our users. So then another user picked up this idea and expanded on it, and because like that we were sharing it with our community, they kept adding to it. And so then, you know, a few months ago, Owen in Donegal was able to add visualization to his app, because Evelyn in Louth had asked the previous year, how do we do graphing, how do we do visualization in our app? So I just wanted to share that as well, because I thought this was, yeah, the audience would be interested in that. And I think, is this my final one? Yeah, this is a really cool app as well. Again, so Ayush is one of our users in England. He's in university at the moment, but this is a project that he's been working on since he was 14 or 15 years of age. So like every couple of months, we'll see him again in our community, or we'll see him on Twitter or something like that, and he'll have an update for his app. So the scenario here is that, again, it's kind of about community and community building, where he was trying out a kind of a vegan diet originally, and now he's kind of vegetarian or flexitarian, I suppose, in his diet. But when he started, he didn't really know where to buy the food that he wanted to eat, or, you know, how do I find a vegan cheese or a vegan milk or whatever, and he wasn't sure. And that was it. He was trying to solve a problem that he had himself. So that's another great way of trying to find inspiration for your own apps. Is like, okay, what's difficult in my life? What do I have challenges with? And so it started with that very narrow focus of being about, how do I find a vegan or a vegetarian alternative? And it's grown and it's expanded now. So people, there's a community there. There are recipes there, and over the last couple of years, as he's kind of spent more and more time on it, he's entered competitions and he's won entrepreneurship awards, and it helped him then when he was applying to university. He was able to talk to people about, I've worked on this app, I launched it for the Play Store, and then I worked on it a bit more, I worked a bit harder on it, and got some sponsorship, and was able to launch it in the App Store. And it was it wasn't like it just happened overnight. This was kind of a gradual thing that happened over the course of several years. So something that he started when he was quite young, maybe 14 or 15, and he's still working on. He's 19 or 20 now. and still going from strength to strength with the veggie alternatives platform. So yeah, I hope that gives you kind of a good idea of like what's possible with Thunkable. You know, there's community building apps, there's apps for kind of data and visualizing information, apps to help out with kind of local businesses, local groups, and then yeah, the community as well. Yeah, glad to hear it, Rowena. So hopefully you can download veggie alternatives and yeah, find some nice alternatives there. And yeah, I want to open it up now at this stage, kind of just for the last 4 or 5 minutes, and see if anybody has any questions or if they had any ideas that they were working on, or I can kind of get into maybe some of the parts that they used within their app. But I want to hear from yourselves and see what you think.
Do you have any questions, girls? I have a question, but do you have any questions? I'll leave the floor for you. Anybody have a question regarding Thunkable? No? They actually started working on Thunkable, I think just a week ago. They've done like seven tutorials. In fact, I'm sure you probably would have seen one of his tutorials. You know, I sent them 7 tutorials. This week they're going to have another 7 tutorials to work on, you know. So probably they're just at that early stage where you're learning how to create a button, and you know, they're just looking at the block area, how to set, you know, just the preliminary basically. But maybe in the next couple of weeks they'll have so many questions to ask, you know. But for now it's just still a smooth ride. But can I ask you a question quickly, if you don't mind?
Absolutely, please.
You
yeah.
see, I know I did send you an email regarding AWS.
Yes.
You know, the reason why, you know, that obviously one of the speakers that we're going to be having is going to be from AWS, and they are trying to see how can they use their service with Thunkable. For instance, how can they log in? How, you know the way we use the Google Sheets and all that, you know, but how can you use that with AWS? Because the reason why it's so key to us is because of you know, the way they have custom made AIs that we could actually tap into. They have custom made IoT. We can go into their IoT platform section and tweak it and do all sorts. So that would have actually put us, you know, up there if we're able to incorporate AWS platform or even Azure, if that can be done. What's your take on that? Is there any plan in the future to have that done? If it's not there yet.
So as a native component, it's not available in the same way that, say, Google Sheets, you can just drag and drop in a component. But I reached out to Karthik, is his name, who has worked with AWS in the past. And then the nice thing about Thunkable, I suppose, is that we have what's called an API component. And I'm sure as you go through the tutorials, myself and Simran have made a lot of tutorials in the past on APIs. So yeah, basically what you're doing is somebody else has a website, in this case AWS, and they allow you to interface. An application programming interface is an API with that app. So yeah, Evelyn, yeah, absolutely, it's possible. It has been done. There's a number of users who have done it. We were going back and forth kind of on the use cases. So Karthik's use case was he was building an app for a conference. It was a national conference in India, so there was a huge number of attendees. There was thousands and thousands of people attending this conference, and was using Airtable, which is another one of our kind of like a database, I suppose. But there was a limit of 10,000 entries, and you can only get 1,000 at a time. And the advantage that they found with AWS was that you have much more data, much faster read-write speeds, that kind of thing. So I think when you're getting started, you know, some of the kind of basic local table kind of things that we have in our platform will be the quickest and easiest way. But then as you get more people using it, or if you're working with bigger and bigger kind of sets of information, AWS is definitely the way to go, because it's faster. It's designed for big amounts of data. So if you're doing something like Owen's kind of app there with the customer counter, where you've got lots and lots of information and you want to be able to pass it back and forth quickly, then that's an option that's open to you to use AWS for the storage of it. Or that was the other thing that he mentioned as well, that the sorting and the filtering, that they could do lots of stuff in the AWS cloud and then just pull the resources down. And again, if you're doing that in the blocks. It's definitely possible, but it's a bit more challenging. There's more of a learning curve there to write all your own blocks. So it might be nicer to let Amazon do some of the heavy lifting for you there as well.
Fine, thank you. That's fine.
Cool. Yeah. I see somebody in the chat says they have a question.
It seems like they really love this vegetarian app. I can see that's all they're talking about. Right. Okay. I'm so glad that you guys actually started you've done the visualization thing. So I actually think it's a good, we're definitely going to make use of it this year. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks a million, Evan.
Mm-hmm. So is that all for you?
Yeah, I think that's everything from me.
All right, super. Yeah, thank you very much. So girls, can you please give Mr. Domhnall a round of applause? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a million for your attention.
Yeah.
And best of luck to everybody on with Technovation this year. Really looking forward to seeing what you've got. And yeah, you've got a fantastic group there. So yeah.
All right, we are actually excited and looking forward to completing our projects. And thank you so much. Please just hang on. We just have 30 minutes more and we'll be done. So without much ado, let me invite our next guest, Rowena Hennigan. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Hi everyone, it's Rowena.
Rowena.
Yeah, it's Rowena. And there's lots of names on here. I know some of the Siobhans and the Shifras, I think I can say.
Yeah,
there's my daughter is called Duran. And so that I know some of the Irish names and I speak Irish. And Domhnall as well, another good Irish name there. So I don't know if there was a question still. I was watching the chat, Evelyn. So I don't want to make sure that there is a question. There wasn't a last question. I'm not sure the person's name.
Yeah, somebody had followed up with a DM to me there about games.
Okay,
I'm just going to post that in the general chat for everybody about with a link to some of our games that we have. Thanks, Rowena.
Wonderful. So my name is Rowena, or you can call me Ro. And yes, interesting fact, already established, I have been vegetarian for 30 years. So if I tell you I was 13 living in Galway in the 80s and I became vegetarian, you can probably do some maths and figure out my age. Okay, so, but I'm originally from Galway, but I'm actually joining you from a place called Zaragoza, which is a city in Spain. So I'm living in Spain and I am a remote work specialist. So I've traveled to over 60 countries. I've lived in 12. I speak 3 languages fluently. One of them is Irish. I'm losing it a bit. And of course I speak Spanish because I have to, because I've been living here for 4 years. And the part of Spain I'm in, not many people speak English. So actually it can be fun. And I'm doing some work today, doing this presentation with Evelyn and Domhnall and meeting all you guys, which is lovely. But I'm also have to do my Spanish homework after this, because if I don't study Spanish, I don't keep up with it. It's really difficult. So everyone's been working from home, everyone's been studying from home. And it's really difficult, isn't it? Because what I used to do is I used to go into my Spanish class. There was a lovely college up the road here. And I would go in without this. Okay, so you guess that's my little mask I have on my table. I would go in without that and I would sit around and practice speaking Spanish with different people from different countries that were learning Spanish as well. And it was so much better. Now, when I do Spanish, I have to do it through a Zoom call with my Spanish teacher. I have to try and keep the motivation to study. So that's why I'm going to do some studying after this. I've got my notebook here, right? And unlike Domhnall, I'm not actually going to use some slides because I want to try and show you how to work better remotely. And what I believe is better remotely. So if you're not looking at the video, I'm going to encourage you to do that. And if you have a pen and paper handy, I think you guys might like emojis. Okay, I'm hoping you like emojis, right? Because I like emojis, all right? I like them a lot. Are you any good at drawing emojis? I hope so. So if you've got your pen and paper, your notepad and your pen and paper. See if you can draw me an emoji about what you feel about not being able to go to real school or study and go and meet people. Okay, someone's going to get paper, so we'll give them a little minute to go and do that. If you don't have a pen and paper, there's another way on Zoom that you can express if you see down in the reactions, okay, as well at the bottom. So I was giving Evelyn some love hearts and Domhnall some love hearts when they were talking, because I'm vegetarian and I loved the app for the vegetarians. So if you don't want to draw, you can also use the symbol below, okay, the reactions below if you can see them. Right, so is everyone drawing their emoji? I'm going to draw mine, okay? And what we're going to do is hopefully taking a minute or two, we're going to hold them up to the camera. Now, if you haven't got your camera on, again, you can pop it on or you can use the reactions at the bottom. So let's see, what do you think? What do you think about not being able to go to real school? What do you think about it? Draw it in your emoji. You can be as elaborate or simple as you want. Oh, Evelyn's holding up hers. Oh, I can see. Oh, Emma. I've got mine too. Mine is sad as well. But Emma's got tears on her one. Oh, gosh. And even someone's got some speech bubbles too. And someone's putting it in the chat. So, oh no, guess what's really bad about Zoom chat? We can't there's no negative one, but I'm going to do that because that's kind of what I feel about having to do stuff from home. Shocked and sad and horrible. Okay, so when you're ready, hold it up. When you're ready, hold it up and you can look great. Okay, wonderful. Thanks for popping on your video. That's brilliant. Oh, look at all those. Can I just check? Thanks for sharing. You can pop it in chat. Can I just check in case I can't see them all exactly? Has anybody got a happy one? I don't think so. I think most of you, right? Has anyone got a happy one? Pop in chat if you do.
I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, tell me why you've got a happy one. Tell me.
Because now I can go to bed earlier and I don't have to stay in school later.
Oh, okay. So you're happy about it.
Because I'm away from school.
Yeah, oh, good. That's okay, because some people like it. I've heard some people saying. Do you think, though, if you're working on a team project, it might be nice sometimes to all get together and meet? Yeah,
but definitely be harder online.
It's definitely harder online. Okay. So what we've just done there, and thank you so much for your cooperation. First of all, and thank you for, I hope I say your name right, Orife, is that right? You tell me.
Oriofa.
Oriofa. Oh, that's a lovely name. Oriofa, it had her opinion where she thinks it's cool. She thinks it's good, right? But look at the way we all shared our feelings with the visuals, with the writing, okay? So the first thing that's really good about that, and I know you're probably going back to do your typing. I see the fingers. Okay, I see the fingers. Is most of you, like me, drew something. And what neuroscience shows, they're all the scientists that study the brain. They said that actually for us to understand and process things better, we're better if we write. Okay, all the research shows that. So even though we may use Zoom to meet, to interact, to organize things, to have these types of presentations, writing is really important. So I'll share with you that this morning I spent an hour doing some writing. I was thinking about today, I'm really looking forward to meeting this group of young people and seeing all their different faces, but I wrote it out rather than typed it on the laptop. And afterwards, if I was reviewing something, writing as well is a really good way to process it. So there are lots of benefits, positive things, and some negative things about only remote working or only remote learning. Like you said, you can choose your lifestyle, your plan for the day. You can say, I've got that report to do, or finish that piece of work. I'm going to do it this afternoon. I'm going to do something else in the morning. Whereas if you have to go to school or whatever, you have to go at the certain times, don't you? You're more restricted by turning up, say, from 9 to 2 or whatever it may be. But, so that's the good and bad. And there's lots of other bits of good and bad. But what's really interesting about what we've just done is you realize that we can use the tools like this to give our visual impression and share our visual impression of things. Okay? You can also, of course, use the reactions like that to say, I love being vegetarian, or I love being vegetarian, or veggie, as some people call it. So look, that's 3 ways I've expressed and communicated with you guys there. I could also, of course, say, I love being vegetarian. 4 ways. Okay? Drawing, reactions, audio, right? And in the chat. So some of the secrets to being really good at remote work and communications within remote is thinking about all these different ways that we can communicate. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop for a minute because I'm communicating. But if you don't respond and tell me that you've understood what I've said, then I might as well be shouting into a brown paper bag or down a big tunnel. So how can you show me that you understand that we can use different visuals to communicate with each other? Think about your reactions at the bottom. Think, what could you do to show me that you understand what I've just said? And I'm not going to stop until I see all the thumbs up that I can see. Can I get so many thumbs up? Come on, can we have a thumbs up gallery? Oh, amazing. Amazing. Fantastic. Oh, look at that. Oh, you're making a Spanish chica very happy this afternoon. That's fantastic. Fantastic. So what you've also done there by putting your thumbs up and agreeing, you could also be agreeing to something. Would everybody like to try and get this part of the app? Does everybody think we can get the app finished, that part of the project, by Friday? Could you use the thumbs up to get everyone's agreement? Yeah. The word you might hear for that is consensus or decision making. And that's really important when you're in a team. And exactly like what's been said, if we're all not together in the same room, then it's very hard to tell if people agree. Okay? So what's the other way to show that you agree? Could you show one other way that you could show that you agree? Think about the chat box. Yeah. Who agrees with me? So everyone jump onto chat and show me that you know. Yes, yes, do you agree? Yes, I agree, I agree. Any more agrees? Come on. Fantastic. Wow, look at that. Fantastic. Now, let's also try something else because we're all different. And we all, I think, or some of us at least, might speak a second language. Would we try to say yes or I agree in one of our other languages and pop it in the chat? So I'm going to pop in my one that I know. Wow. Tá beag an Gaeilge Mr. Freshen. Gorintach. Gorintach. I love it. Lots of different ones. Wow. So any more to come? Awesome. Oh, there's a few French speakers out there. Fantastic. I see. Or de acuerdo is another way of saying it in Spanish. Wow, I love that. That's brilliant. So that also shows that we all might speak different languages, but we can all say the same thing and agree in different ways, yeah, with different languages. So, what have I done in my few minutes? I've shown the visual ways that we can all express when we're working in groups remotely and communicate. Have any of you ever presented before, like myself or Domhnall or Evelyn are doing? Yeah, there's a few thumbs up. Tell me if you have. Tell me if you have. Yeah, is it? Go on your audio and tell me. Oh, lots more languages coming in. Does anybody want to tell me about when they've presented?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Rowena. Yeah, I've presented before. I've taken part in Technovation last year and the year before in 2019. So I have presented and I have worked in a group. So it was really essential that we all learned how to communicate and even take turns and take parts in, you know, expressing and presenting our parts. Yeah.
Good. Now, I don't know if you've ever had to present in school in person or stand up and do a dance or stand up. Have you ever had to do something? The question is, and thank you for clarifying, that's really good in the chat. Have you ever had to present like I'm doing now, like Domhnall, like Evelyn, or have you ever had to stand up in school and tell a story, show a report, do a dance? Okay. When we're in a room and we're doing that, so lots of people, right, are giving me examples, but imagine you're in a room doing it, school doing it, and imagine no one said anything. Imagine no one either clapped or reacted or smiled at you or looked at you. Probably wouldn't feel very nice, would it? So, as Laura, I think, has said, and like for Domhnall and Evelyn and I, because we're all human beings and we all like to know that when we've spoken, you've heard us and you might like what we've said or think it's good or want to clap or want to smile or want to pay attention. Okay, someone's done it for a panto. Brilliant. So we want to show support and we want to show that we've listened and that we've understood and that we appreciate that that person might be a bit nervous. Maybe they get like this before they present. Okay? Even people who've been doing it for years can get a little bit nervous. So if you put yourself in that person's position, there's lots of people here who have presented before. This is great. There's great experience here. What's the way that we can show them that we are listening and that we appreciate and understand what they're saying? Show me what we could do. So I'm going to thank Laura for speaking and sharing her experience as a presenter. Anyone else want to? What could we do for all the people that were in the choirs, that were in the pantos? Oh, someone else has presented for Great Women. What would you like people to say to you or to do when you're finished? Oh, someone, I can see some, yay! Yeah. Want to say thank you? Because sometimes presenting is, yeah, exactly. Sometimes presenting is hard. And if you don't know a person very well, you have to think that maybe just be a little bit considerate that they might, be a bit nervous. Okay. So that's a compliment. Exactly. You could give them a compliment. And to give them a compliment, you might say, I really liked the emoji example you used, Rowena. So a compliment, if we give a compliment or we give feedback, we try and be specific. Laura, I like that you shared your story about presenting and that you worked in a group. It was good to hear that example. So that would be a way. Or if and thanks that you also shared with us about that you don't like or you like to be working from home. So it shows that we've heard. Okay. So we've got all these people that are working in panto and theatre. So I haven't used any slides today, guys, because I just thought it would be better to demonstrate, but I do have some slides that I'm going to give to Evelyn that covers some of the things I've spoken about. It covers what's important about using visuals in communication and confirming communication when we're working remotely. Because when we're not working in the same physical room together, we have to be very explicit and clear in our communications, and we have to make sure that everyone understood what we were saying, and maybe in particular what the instruction would be for a project. Because if we're working in teams, if Jessica or Laura or Jody are saying to me, this is the next step for the project, Rowena, can you make sure you do this particular part? We all need to be clear that we understand that. And one of the ways to do that is to write it out, okay? One of the ways is to write it out and confirm it. That's why people use emails, instant messaging so much, because they exchange and they might go, for example, did you ask me to break down that part of the project and do this? Yes, that's what we need you to do. Go ahead. Okay? So that is an idea of how we need to be a little bit more explicit and clear in the way we communicate remotely. And also, if we're going to move on to collaborate and work on Google Drive, I believe Evelyn said. Can I check, Evelyn, that that's what you're using, correct? Yeah, you're on mute. You're on mute, Evelyn.
Apologies. Yeah, Google Drive. Yeah, some of them, as a matter of fact, when they were shared, one group sent me their project ideas yesterday, and I saw that the two of them were collaborating through Google Drive.
Oh, very
good. Yeah, there's a lot of collaboration going on
good.
through Google Drive. Yeah.
Good. Well, if you already know a little bit about doing that, that's really great. But hopefully what I've showed you will also make you think about being better in how you communicate on Zoom. Evelyn, I'm wondering if you get this much chat in the normal workshops, because it seems very busy today on the chat.
Oh yeah, they know how to chat.
That's great. So if you would like to ask me any questions, I'd love to hear them. You can find out about me at rowenahennigan.com. I have my own website, and you can have a read there. There's some videos with me. There's different bits and pieces. A person who works remotely 100% of the time, like myself, can choose where and when they work. So for example, last summer when the restrictions lifted a little bit here in Spain, I spent 2 months at the beach in Tarragona, working remotely from there, okay, with my computer. As I said, I've been to 65 countries now. I often go to visit family in other parts of the world and work from there. So that's what a fully remote worker does. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to come here today as well, to make you realize that the way the world is moving, that especially if you work in technology, in particular, if you work in technology, I see Domhnall nodding, you can work from anywhere in the world, okay? And also in technology, in certain roles, you can often get paid very well, no matter where you're going to live. So what exactly do I do in technology? Very good question that's come in there. I started off, my first degree was in social sciences with management in 1996. And in 1999, I did a master's in something called marketing, which I'm sure you know what that is, selling things, but my specialism was digital marketing. So I was one of the first people in that area. It was a very new thing back then. There was even a search engine called Alta Vista, which I don't know if anyone has heard of it. Domhnall's laughing. So only us who've been around for a while will know the name of that. And back then, I started understanding how we can use search engine registration, search engine optimization, digital communications, and how we could also use a little bit of databases. So I taught myself some database and data modeling. And for the 10 years after that, I worked in telecommunications and technology. And my specialist area then, my specialist area, I love the questions. My specialist area then was something called data modeling for telecommunications. So it was a mix of business and technology. For 4 years, I only worked 6 months a year. And for the rest of the 6 months, I traveled during the late 90s. So to put that quite straightforward, I was earning enough money only to work 6 months and to travel for the rest of the time. My 5 favorite countries that I have worked in are New Zealand, would be number 1. Indonesia, number 2, particularly Bali, because I have family there and I worked there for a year. The 3rd one is Spain, which is a fantastic country. The 4th one is Vietnam, which is also an amazing country, and I love the food, and I was there for 2 months on a project. And the 5th one is France. And particularly if you live near the mountains in France. So I was there for a while working and snowboarding at one point when I was younger. Why did I want to work in technology? Can I keep going, Evelyn? You can stop me if you want.
Oh my God, maybe you should ask Domhnall that as well.
Domhnall, can you take a question so I can get a drink of water?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it seems a very, very relevant answer to the audience today, but like when I started off, my interest in technology was like that through playing like computer games and stuff as a kid. And then I had some teachers who introduced me to programming. Again, back when you couldn't just Google the answer, there was no Google at the time. You had to look things up in books or read them in magazines. And we had some friends that were into like building things and making things. So I got into kind of technology and stuff in school, and we were able to do things like computer designing very early, like CNC, all that kind of stuff at school. And yeah, just kept pursuing it, and eventually ended up doing engineering in university. And yeah, one of the kind of areas that we got to work was in this idea of remote teaching. So if you're a student, the teaching and learning, I guess, on a day-to-day basis is relatively straightforward. I know we had lots of sad face emojis, but the challenge we were looking at was doing remote labs. So if you have to go in and do an experiment with equipment and measurements and all that kind of stuff, how do you make it accessible for people living on the opposite side of the country? I was in university in Dublin. How do they come in and how do they do, or if they were in Spain or anywhere else in the world, how would they come in and participate in their labs? And that was what kind of for me, the fusion of technology and education way back at the very end of my degree. And I've kind of been doing something in and around those areas ever since, pretty much. But yeah, it started off at the age of, 9, 10, 11, something like that, in computer games, and then got into programming and technology and stuff through that, and just kept trying different things. Just kept doing different things until I found what I like. And at the moment, really loving kind of app development and helping other folks to do their apps as well. Yeah, not sure if your experience is similar or completely different, Rowena, but
yeah. It's probably different because I started off in business. I did do a little bit. I don't know, is your degree technology technically related? Don't, probably is.
Engineering and
engineering, yeah. So I started off in business and then mixed the bit of business analysis, data modeling. But back then, obviously, if you knew a little bit about tech, it really helped. Interesting, the first 3 or 4 jobs I had, just to comment to the audience, I was the only woman. I worked on a few projects in the early 2000s where I was running a project team a team in Thailand, in Bangkok, and I was the only woman on a team of 25. So you're all asking the right questions, because back when I was coming out of university, there weren't many women that were going into the tech sector. There weren't many women going into telecommunications, etc. So if this appeals to you, the world has changed. You know, you're doing this amazing project and with Evelyn and getting Domhnall's advice and getting a chance to build an app. Wow, I would love that so much if I could turn back the clock. I would love the opportunity, because I had to teach myself. There was one computer lab at my secondary school, which I hardly saw. So only when I got to university, I got exposed to computers.
Yeah.
So you have a really, really big advantage. But can I tell you a secret? Can I tell you a secret? Do you want to hear a secret?
Yeah.
This is my take on it. Okay. It's not just the computers that will make you successful and clever. Okay. And make you good at what you do. Pen and paper. Pen and paper. All the neuroscience, all the successful people in technology write. Writing, it's different from typing. It's why children can't learn only on iPads. Otherwise, they don't develop their proper parts of their brain. It's really important to keep using the pen and paper as you go on in life, because that's what will help you really understand your thoughts. No electronic iPad with nothing, just the same as the pen and paper, because we're human and we need to connect with the paper. Domhnall, I don't know if you want to disagree with me there. Look, I didn't set it up. I
couldn't agree more. I have a stack of notepads and I sketch out my design ideas for my apps. I'll do lists, I'll do ideas for videos, everything gets written down, take little notes as we're doing meetings and stuff. And yeah, even like that, like Rowena was saying earlier, like the importance of not just putting work into doing a good presentation, but also being a good listener as well, and making sure that you're giving feedback. So you can, if you have the little pen and paper there, it's so easy to make a little note and you'd be like, okay, I must ask Rowena later about her favorite countries, or whatever it is, and you can have a little note there for yourself. And yeah, great. Would 100% agree.
Okay, we have just gone a little bit over time, so I really want to thank you too for gracing this occasion. Thank you so much. Now, girls, now I want you to turn on your camera out so we can appreciate them. And I can see some of us have our cameras turned off. I want us to give them a round of applause. Turn on your camera, everyone. Turn on your camera, even if you're in the kitchen. I want to see everybody's face. Okay, Mother Rice, Dara, Amanda, turn on your camera. Let's say thank you to our special guest. Turn on your camera. Cool. Yes, super. Let me see everybody's face. Super, super. Okay, now I want you girls to give them a round of applause. Say thank you. Yeah, cool, cool. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm sure you girls have learned a lot. You have fantastic ideas from Domhnall. So I'm going to share some of the links of the project that he talked about. I'm going to share them. And of course, you know yourself. I know you guys have started communicating already. So we want to apply what Rowena talked about, regarding how to communicate properly. Somebody's coming in when we're leaving. So, do you know what I mean? So we want to make sure we apply what we have learned today in whatever we are doing. So thank you so much. And I see you soon. Thank you very much. I'll see you girls soon. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, Domhnall. Thank you, Rowena. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye for now.